What's going on? My name is Amy Nicholas, and in today's video, I'm recapping. This is phase 2 of my 20 day trades experiment. So phase 1 was about trading the smallest share size possible, 1 share per trade, with a set, fixed, whatever you want to call it, trailing stop loss of 75 cents. So I executed 20 trades in a row, just buying 1 share, 75-cent trailing stop. And I just finished that up yesterday. And now I'm in phase 2, which is doubling down. So we're now trading 2 shares per trade, same 75-cent trailing stop loss. I did 3 trades today. I was red on the day. I went 1 for 3. So 2 red, 1 green. And if you traded today, Thursday, March 20th, it was a choppy morning. And some of the stocks that would have been better plays, I wasn't watching actively and kind of missed some of the bigger moves. I'm usually trading stocks and ETFs. That's where I'm at. And I'm often trading ETFs that track the big names. For example, Tesla or Nvidia or Meta. And so Tesla was on my radar this morning. I was also looking at, even though I didn't think I was actually going to jump in on it, Jabil, because they had announced earnings, but it kind of was outside my rules for right now of what I'm doing of trading small, because it's a stock that's over $100. And for me to have a 75-cent stop loss, that's really tight on stocks that are priced that high. So really, I was looking at Tesla, Meta, and kind of just waiting to see like what was gonna pop, because there wasn't much action at the open. It was very awkward, like stunted moves. And I got in on TSLQ to go short on Tesla because it looked weak. Like my signals were there. It looked like it wasn't gonna push higher. It was kind of ranging. I think at this point it was ranging like 233 or something like that. And it just looked like, hey, this is probably turning around. And I kind of had my signals with like, MACD and stuff like that. So I got in, I went short, and I got in at $60.81 for TSLQ. It's the ETF that shorts Tesla for you. And I'm buying 2 shares now. So got my stop. And this one, it kind of did one of these jagged moves that Tesla lately has been known for. And this is kind of not the way it used to trade, I should say. But it's getting in these ranges, and you'll get these like boop, 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 and if it just hits your stop, then you're out, right? Now, granted, it never really kept going lower after I got kicked out, but I mean, it was a tough call this morning because I didn't want to go long on it. There wasn't enough like bullish reason to go long on it. So I got kicked out at 60.25, and because I'm buying 2 shares now, my max loss is about, $1.50, but my loss was $1.11 because I have a trailing stop loss. So that thing's following me a little bit to help me, keep something, if I go up. And I put, in my notes that I felt like I kind of got in at the end of a range, but again, it was just so choppy. I had some numbers written out, like what I was kind of looking for on Tesla. I was hoping that we were going to break below, get below 233, get down into 232, and hopefully somewhere around 230, we'd get a bounce, because then I could have had a range of shorting it. But it just was like, I'm going to stay stuck, and then it finally started to go to the upside. And I considered going long on it after that. But TSLR, which is the ETF that is long for Tesla, it is such a low priced ETF right now. It's like, I think $12 or something like that. It takes a lot of movement on Tesla now to move that sucker enough for me to even say, is this an A+ setup, right? So these days I'm more interested in shorting TSLQ with TSLQ, because that ETF is over $60 most days now because Tesla's down so much. So it's easier to get those. I'm looking to take like $1 profit usually, and I'm risking, a 75-cent trailing stop. But some of these mornings have just been like, that take profit just isn't there. Like it's almost becoming more rare. So just something to consider if you're out here trading and you're, trying to minimize losses, maximize gains. really take your time to look for these setups that can get you the best chance of the highest gain. And I think this morning maybe I was experiencing a little FOMO getting in on this one because I just, I kind of felt like in most probabilities it would have gone my way, but you're not always right? Like depending on how good of a trader you are, your probabilities is exactly that. Doesn't mean you're going to be right. So anyways, trade number 2 was somebody I watch Bear Bull Traders live in the mornings, and somebody in the chat said just Meta. So I looked at Meta and I was like, whoa, there was this big move to the upside. It had already gone up $15. And so I was like, have I missed the move? Maybe I should wait. So I kind of watched the charts for a little. It was a nice clean chart, clean stair-stepping green candle action. And so I decided to go long with the ETF FBL. And that one I got in at 32.59, again with 2 shares. And this was the trade of the day where I was like, this could have been the solid winner if I had been patient. So when it kind of felt like it was ranging for a while and I was green, but I wasn't green that much, I'm like, should I stay in this trade? And I've had it happen in the past couple of days where I'm in a trade and if I'm sitting too long to get to a take profit, for my style of momentum trading, it's like, let's find an exit out before things turn. Now, the problem today, I feel like I didn't have a strong confirmation that it was turning on me. I just got impatient and I exited for a profit. So this was a green trade, but it was only a 38-cent gain. So you're talking, like not even 20 cents a share. And I, kept looking at other things on the charts and I watched Facebook just soar. I think this point I got out when Facebook was around, I think it was over the 600 mark, or just before it. And I was like, okay, there's resistance at 600 or 605. At any rate, it only moved like $1 and some change. And I watched it later move Facebook moved another $5 or $6, and I could have just stayed in this ETF going long and gotten over $1 per share if I had just been patient. It took it like a good 10 or 15 minutes to play out where it finally hit resistance at 609. But yeah, I would have been up like probably about $1.50 a share, if not even slightly higher if I just had been patient. So that was my lesson learned. Oh, actually I got out just at 596. Oh, okay. So I was way before the big move. Yeah. See, I really missed this move because I was thinking in my mind that it was going against me and the signals were, kind of showing that it was slowing down, but it wasn't necessarily giving me confirmation that Meta was turning around. And that's what drives me crazy a little bit, is that I just got impatient. And because some of the trades lately I've done, I'm in it for 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds, up to like 10 minutes. I was just like, I could have just waited for that one to play out because I would have counteracted the negative $1.11 or whatever I lost on the first trade. I would have been way over that. And then trade number 3, I sat and I waited, and I didn't even get in this trade till 10:47, so Eastern, 7:47 my time. So hour and some. Usually I don't even trade past the first hour, but lately these setups have taken longer to set up. Moves are happening later in the trading day. And so I said, you know what? I'm just gonna I'm gonna go for one more trade. I'm gonna see if I can, find a winner. And I was watching Palantir at this point, and I'm like, okay, we're in the 88 range, and I could see it hitting resistance at 90 for sure. Also, maybe in the 89 range. So I felt like I had a good chance, and I wasn't buying an ETF on this one. I was buying directly Palantir. I felt like I had a good chance for my dollar take profit. It's like, oh, okay. So I got in at 88.28, and this thing took a while, like ranging up and down and up and down and up and down. And I think I was green some of the time, and I think it was only ever green like up 25 cents or something. And then it stopped me out. And so this one I got kicked out at 87.77. And I realized my trailing stop for the longest time was fixed on 87.75. And I'm like, oh, geez, this is probably the level where everybody's like trying to wipe out the stop losses, right? And had I noticed that in hindsight before getting in the trade, I would have tried to get in slightly lower than this 88.28. Like if I had gotten in at 88.15 or 20, then I would have had some room for that stop to not get kicked, right? Or hit. So I ended up with a loss of $1.02 because the trailing stop, followed me. So my total P&L for today was negative $1.75. In both cases where I had red trades, the trailing stop helped me to minimize that loss. There was times today where I almost just thought I should have just, if I had $1 trailing stop, I think the last trade for sure, I probably would have been okay because sure enough, Palantir turned around later in the day and hit my $89 to $89.50-ish range of where I was hoping to take a profit. And it only took it about 10 or 15 minutes after I got, stopped out. So lessons learned, I think this market right now, it is very challenging, especially if you're new, because you constantly have to adapt right now. You have to look at what you're doing, like what's worked in the past, and say, okay, is this strategy still effective? And for me, I think that if I'd had wider stops today, I could have been, green on at least the last trade. The first trade, it just turned, and it was kind of a spin on its head move, but it didn't go super high on Tesla. Like that one was just like probabilities, right? 50-50 shot. You're going to be right or wrong. And then I was right on Meta, but I didn't stay in long enough with the FBL. And then Palantir, again, the just hitting the stop and turning her back up, was kind of like, darn, okay. But lessons learned, I wrote that I noticed the time when I got kicked out of Palantir. It was on the button 11 a.m. And I'm like, right, because the algorithms kick in. If you ever notice this, because I've noticed this from staring at the same stock so many times, the algorithms, these bots, this high frequency trading, whatever, these are activated. Certain things are activated on the half hours and the hours. So the open, 9:30, 10 a.m., 10:30, 11. So what I wrote for myself was try to get out of a trade before this 11 a.m. Eastern time, or wait to get in until just after it. Because I could have gotten in maybe at even a higher price on Palantir after 11 a.m. than my original entry, but I would have gotten a profitable trade very close to my take profit if that had been the case. So just something to note if you trade the stocks like I do in the ETFs. Very choppy today for my usual players. So I kind of felt like there was a lot of gap time where I wasn't in a trade today, and that was a little bit unusual for me. So I'm trying to just, look at different things in the market, scan, what other opportunities. And the other opportunities, I wrote that there was clean moves on Meta, which I caught some of, Apple and Amazon. So these other stocks, Apple doesn't necessarily have big moves. Its ATR is kind of tight. But I'm like, okay, let me keep in mind these other stocks for the future just to have them on the watch list in case they're moving for some unknown reason, whatever. They had very clean charts, whereas I'm trading Tesla, which had a horrible chart, and, I'm just missing the mark on these other ones. NVIDIA also looked horrible. I stay away from that one. I said these kind of days look for cleaner setups, and yeah, that was pretty much it. So that was day one of phase 2 of my 20 trades experiment, where I'm trading just the 2 shares. I'm working on building the skill, building my system, building a strategy of execution without overthinking, eliminating the mental issues that creep up when I'm trading position sizes that are too big. So that's why I scale myself back down with these experiments, because I'm like, okay, we'll start at 1, we'll start to learn and hone. And I had mentioned in my live stream yesterday the results of that first 20 trades experiment that I had a 70% win rate, which for me was like really good. By executing without thinking and having such a small position size that I wasn't considering losing the money. I wasn't worried about getting in trades. And, now I'm trading 2, still very, very small position size. I just want to get comfortable scaling and doubling down. The next series I do, I'll go to 5, and then I'll go to 10 and 20 and so forth. But right now, it's just about being consistent, not worrying about the outcome, doing things in a series, focus on, there's probabilities. What's my A quality setups here? This is what we're going for. We're not trying to just jump into anything, especially in these markets right now. So yeah, it's a tough game out there right now, y'all. But let me know, how was your trading day? Feel free to check out the day trading resources I've put together in a Google Doc. This is all the stuff that I've learned to get to month 4. still trading, still learning, still a newbie, but there's been some YouTubers and some books that have helped me to just stick with a strategy, stay with one thing. I'm only trading stocks and ETFs. I'm not trading Forex. I'm not trading commodities. I'm not trading futures. I'm not jumping around. I'm not doing options. I'm sticking with my one lane that I'm looking to become expert in, right? So feel free to subscribe if you want to hang around and continue the journey with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.